My wife asked me why I hate chains, and I think that's a very good question. So, let me tell you about my recent experiences. So, I went to this chain, right? Grocery store chain, as most of them are. And outside, they advertise free cookies for kids. And I went over there and asked because they had a little thing of cookies, but there were none in there. And a lady behind the bakery stand said, "We don't have any cookies." Like, gruff, abrupt, done. And that made me sort of upset because my daughter was saying she wanted to eat. I mean, she's a baby, a year or so. And I thought we were going to have cookies for her. You can't really otherwise just open stuff up in a grocery store and eat it, right? Later on, I saw some people that looked like they were talking about stuff like management type, right? Um, so I was like, okay, well, let me ask them. I was thinking about asking a manager anyways. And the guy says, yeah, that's not appropriate. Let me get you some cookies. And he did. He just opened up a thing and gave cookies. So the lady doesn't care because she's just an employee at some large grocery store chain. The manager cares because he has a brand reputation to protect. Let's go back. Let's go to another thing. So there's this rental car agency I really despise called Hertz. They're notorious for arresting people, as in they report cars stolen. Police run cars through their license plate scanners, automatic license plate scanners, and pull people over and pull guns on them because they think they've stolen a car and they just rent it from Hertz. It's happened multiple times. Hertz also notorious for charging gas fees for electric vehicles. There is no gas fee, obviously, for all sorts of bad stuff. This place had a really bad rating on Google reviews, and when I went back, it was bad, right? The lady was sullen, the guy spoke, but just minimally. No cheeriness, no smiling, no how are you. And this is in the South where people are friendly. So I went to another place. It's also called Hertz. That's where I picked up the rental. And it was wonderful. And the guy, like, I saw a guy cleaning a car. I didn't know, whether or not he was the guy. There's another guy. There's two of them working there at that branch. And then he came inside later. There's a phone number to call, right? Because nobody was there. And it was like waiting, and the guy came in. He saw me coming in. He thought he'd check in. It was also Hertz. Wonderful service. But he's new. He just started a few months ago, probably. And so maybe he's just motivated, going to work hard. Right? Because there's this company culture, but you don't get into it until you've been there for a while. When you're new, you just want to do a good job, show what a good employee you are, right? Work hard. All that sort of spark only burns out later. But this idea of chains versus individual locations. So there's a chain called Caliber Collision, and I just thought they're bad because they're a chain. I mean, I've seen them in California, I've seen them all the way here on the other side of the country in Virginia. And if you're that big, then obviously you got to cut some corners, right? Because that's how big companies do business. It's like Microsoft. Why do you think they had blue screens of death last Friday? Well, it's Microsoft. They could care less. What are they going to do? You have nobody else to go to Microsoft. Small individual owned business or just small business in general, they need to earn their money. So they got to do their best behavior sort of all the time. Big businesses have contracts. I'm sure people have contracts with Hertz. You hate them, who cares? Your business is a contract with Hertz. When you're going on business, you're fine. Like people with American Airlines or whatever, your company could care less that you don't like them, that you have bad experiences with them. Blah blah. Blah. It doesn't matter. You're flying them, right? So small businesses, I thought would work harder. They'd be more negotiable, right? Remember when I needed an audiogram, a hearing test? I called the bigger companies that were big groups, and they could care less when they could get me in. $500 if I don't have insurance. This other thing is, yeah, you need it soon, right? Let's see if we could squeeze you in. Today is probably a little bit late because it's already afternoon, but tomorrow, what about tomorrow morning? We'll get it done. It'll be quick. Price, oh, $150. Just pay me. I mean, she's an individual. She runs her own. She's an audiologist. Runs her own business. Small office, no issues. Everything's professionally done, right? Has all the proper equipment. And that's the dilemma of chains versus small businesses, individuals. Because at the end of it, it's all individuals, right? You have the same guy working for Hertz, who's great, who's horrible. But that's because individuals are different. And how do you determine whether a place is good or bad, right? And it's like the funny thing is with Google reviews and all these Yelp and all these other review sites, TripAdvisor, their experience doesn't mean what you're going to experience, right? And I remember this at work when I was talking to them about this taco place. Because, it's near work. A lot of people go there, as in the people who eat out all the time and don't bring lunches, right? Like, yeah, you got to go there when the man's cooking. He gives more generous portions and it tastes better. And you're like, wow. I mean, can you imagine if you just ate there for a few times? If you just want to give them a try because there's good reviews, you just can't believe it's so bad. Like, how could you figure it out? Just even from 3 tries. I mean, I guess if you work there down the street and you eat there, I don't know how often this person eats there, then you could figure it out. But how do you figure out these nuances, right? That's because an individual cooks, right? You would think it doesn't matter, but have you ever been to some fast food places and they taste better? Like, Super Size Me. It's funny because, my friend and I actually went to check it out because he said the best looking Big Mac was in Chinatown in New York City. And we went there, and it actually is a pretty good looking Big Mac. And you're like, okay, so the individual matters, right? McDonald's is like as cookie cutter as you could get. But still, there's literally people who are making these things. And they make a difference. And that's where the whole dilemma comes in. Chains versus individuals, right? What does it mean to be a chain? What does it mean to be individual? Because at the end of the day, they're all individual locations. Not owned necessarily by individuals, but run by individuals who have their own quirks, priorities, personalities, whatever, right? So, coming back to Caliber Collision, I went to other little shop. I thought they were nice and friendly. I went to Caliber Collision, and they're just like, oh, please, if you want some tea, they have it set up with like tea, coffee. The lady in the front super friendly. It's like, yeah, they're all super great. And so, my background is coming from healthcare, hospitals. And I feel like at big hospitals, people all sort of become the same. But I know that's not true. I know there's doctors I would trust more, and doctors I would not trust as much. And there's people who are more affected by the system, people who are not affected as much. People who do stuff because they could get away with it, and people who don't do stuff, even though they could get away with it, even though they could slack off, and nobody would know the difference or be the wiser, or they would have no effect on their job. And that's where I think it's this difficulty, right? Like, you could make generalizations. And I've always told I make too many generalizations, but like, people trying to make sense of stuff. Like, I asked my friend who's in Philly, like, why is it that certain places like New York, they're just, I think they're more brusque, right? And you go to certain places, like, they're more friendly, like New Jersey. Like, the lady actually said, hello, how are you, when I went to pay the toll booth. California, you just sort of hand her the money, she gives you change, and that's it. Like, and he's like, well, it's because New York is an immigrant culture. People don't necessarily speak the language, so they just use the bare minimum for communication. But places where everybody speaks English, they could be more generous with their speech. I don't know if it's true or not, but maybe it's just this lady. But it is this lady. It is this individual. You can make whatever conclusion you want, but it's this person in this place in this time. Maybe reproducible, may not be. Who knows? I think this idea of standardization, chain standard qualities, is a myth. Seriously, you want to see some Hiltons? They're worse than Motel 6s. Some Hyatts, they're worse than, Econo Lodge, whatever, right? Yeah, they're chains. They're supposed to have standards, but that doesn't always happen. And it doesn't always happen because we're humans, we're individuals, we're robots. Is that a beautiful thing or not? It doesn't matter. It is what it is.